And what about the role of provincial government in a sustainable community media sector? I had a brief chat with the MEC earlier on about his specific area of education. But of course, the community media plays a critical role as a sort of early warning system if necessary, as well as mobilizing the public, the community around important issues such as education. So he's here to tell us more about the role of provincial government. Tate Banyaza Lesufi.
Thank you so much, Program Director, Deputy Minister of Communications. They already said education. So you can see that I'm still an education person. That, the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, the entire leadership of MDDA, the leadership of ICASA, Centec, leadership that is coming from various media houses that are here, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. I think you'll agree with me that this meeting is long overdue. That is very important that we've got this session, and in this particular session, I'm of the view that if we can't be open-minded and avoid defending our territories, this session will be meaningless. That we need to enter this debate and this discussion open-minded, open our ears, and be prepared to change the things that we need to change. The reason why I like this industry is that I grew within this industry. GCIS will tell you, and other industries, I was part of this particular industry. And if I'm outdated, please forgive me. But there are things that I knew were happening at the time I was here, and I suspect they're still there. And I want to start with community radio. What has just happened with LXFM should be an embarrassment to all of us in the industry. If you are not aware, LXFM is going through difficulties, I think on the verge of also losing their license. And it started with many other radio stations. When I was a young man, there was a radio station called Tembisa Radio Info. I was part of that radio station. It died. I think now there is Voice of Tembisa. But there's no radio station in our province or in our country that has not gone through turbulences. Josie FM has gone through those turbulences. But what are the issues? My argument is very simple. I hope the leadership of Centec is here. Majority of our radio stations survives to satisfy Centec fees, nothing else, nothing more. That in the absence of those particular fees, they can't survive. They can't grow, and they are operating in an industry that is not appropriately regulated. You ask ICASA if you have challenges. They send junior people who are inexperienced, who don't want to deal with the issues but want to avoid issues. That in the absence of that, there's no way that this industry can prosper. That is very important as a sector that we put our thinking caps on and say, how do we change this particular sector? And there's something that I called mandate creep. There are radio stations that you don't know longer whether they are radio stations or no longer radio stations. I mean, you look at 702. They can go on multimedia and close up any community radio station. You go to News 24, they can broadcast the court case. What is their mandate? Were they appointed or given a license to do what they're doing? Surely not. Because the regulatory framework, it's so easy, anyone can do anything anytime. And in the absence of a very strong regulatory framework, we are seeing ourselves opening up these community media stations or publications to be controlled by whoever that have the financial muscle to deal with this. And the elephant in the house is an untransformed advertising agencies in this particular country. That's the elephant in the house. Somebody that has never been in Tembisa but want to dictate what kind of advertisement must be played in Tembisa radio. Somebody that has never, at least those that are coming from Soweto, I can talk to you because at least somebody will say Soweto is the first cake that you have to. You go to rural radio stations, rural publications, you go, You will never have this industry transformed. You will never have this industry playing a meaningful role. Actually, this industry feels that we're doing them a favor if they have to work with a community radio station. We have the power to regulate, and we must regulate unashamedly. We must not be scared. Because if people give us a mandate to govern and you don't govern, they will take away that particular mandate one day. So I hope they are here, and I hope they've been invited. Because that's the lifeblood of any institution that is in the media. Because if that institution is not transformed, I mean, I always ask myself, and sorry, Chair, I ask myself when I see this new look of APSA, and I asked how many community radio stations and newspapers have benefited out of this new change. Nothing. Nothing. And you check the stock fares that bank with those particular institutions, they come from these communities. So people are not taking us serious, but we have the power to run this particular government. It can't be. It can't be. So if you take, I mean, this is the biggest PR exercise in the history of this country, the conversion of APSA. That's the biggest PR. You check the PR institution that got it. You check whether our people are empowered there. You check the community radio stations. We are watching a revolution that we must be part, but we are spectators of that particular revolution. We can't be. We can't continue to be spectators of a very important revolution. And therefore, it's very, because the state must play that particular role. MDDA, how many government departments bank with APSA? How many bank with APSA? And if you are not the state and the bodies that are mandated to deal with this particular sector are not given the necessary capacity to lead that particular sector, we are going to complain and complain and complain. But I also want to direct the complaint to government. You know, government wants to go to community radio stations every time they want sponsorship or partnership. You go to a radio station, no, we are running this campaign, can you assist? But when they have money, they know where they go. They go to radio commercial stations. They go to this commercial radio station. So, we need to nip this thing in the bud. We need to nip this thing in the bud. We can't. We treat radio, community media as if it's a favor, this thing. Yeah? When you need a minister or you need somebody to come and speak, they don't come. They send a junior person. But when there is a crisis, they need help. Can we do this together? Can we promote? We can't work that way. So we have to also look as the state and say, what is the role that we can play to empower these media houses? We can't treat, I mean, if they get that job, they have to sweat even to get that payment. Just to get that payment. They have to sweat, they have to fill endless paperwork, and there's nothing as government tangibly that we can say we are putting in the public space. What is it that we need to do? If there is a contribution that I want to give to this particular summit, I want to start with community newspapers. We have an institution in this country that is called government printers. Government printers must enter into a relationship with community newspapers and print for those institutions as part of their contribution to development of this particular sector. Because these newspapers have to go to this commercial institution that charge them commercial prices just to print a newspaper. So we need to use the muscle of the state, and the muscle of the state, Deputy Minister, is government printers. It can't print ID copies only. So we need to reposition their mandate and deal with that particular mandate. Sispumla GCIS, that community televisions here, what is it that is an expensive machine that we can lease and borrow this institution as GCIS if they don't have the capacity to buy these machines? What kind of direct support can we provide? But the biggest thing, Chair, that I really believe we need to come out and debate and discuss. You can't have IDC sponsoring people that are doing film. I'm not saying film is not important, but the funding must come to these institutions that come from IDC. These institutions need funding. Because if we can't say these institutions, the financial sector that need to be harnessed, we'll lose an opportunity. So you are IDC, you are DPSA, because tell me of any specialized bank that specializes in providing funding or loans to community media. None. When you come to MDDA, over 150,000 or 75,000, that's meaningless in the industry that we are in. We need something that can position us to deal with the challenges of this particular sector. So we can't move forward if backward is the permanent venue where we are. We must fix the backwardness of our thinking, our licensing, our organization before we can move forward. And the day we move forward, invite me. I'll be part of this trip. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.